What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one I want to go over both the injury report and we're going to go ahead and do the game preview as we look ahead to the Steelers, right? Of course, my work schedule's pretty packed. Been working a lot of nights, so gonna give you what I know and all the information that I have at my disposal right now and my best guess for the injury report. And we're going to go ahead. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of who's going to be in, who's going to be out on both sides of this thing. And then, of course, going to go through the game preview, some different information that I've found through the week, and some different things that should help us form a good opinion of this game. Of course, a couple days ago, dropped a video on the channel about the history of not only the Colts versus the Steelers all time, which is 27-8 in the 35 matchups all time, dating back to Baltimore Colts and Indianapolis Colts. In Pittsburgh, I believe it was 2-17 all time in Pittsburgh. Not great, right? So history, not great. History, though, just like tradition. I know a lot of people love tradition. That's why people love college football, and like the people that love the Colts uniform, like same uniform it's been forever. People love tradition. I don't. I kind of invite change. Kind of cool with it. Kind of like modern stuff. Just like the Colts should have a black and blue jersey. I'm just saying. And it should probably be our full-time jersey at some point. You got to change something. But nonetheless, history doesn't matter when you're talking about one team from 5 years ago, one team from last year, teams from this year. This year is all that matters, truly. This year is all that matters. The players that are on these teams, situations that these teams are in, this year is all that matters. So who cares about the history today? Nobody. Okay, so as we look through the injury reports, Scotty Miller, a lot of people know this name from the Buccaneers back when he was with Tom Brady on the Buccaneers back in those days. Has not practiced. I think I saw he has a broken finger. Being a receiver with a broken finger, probably not great. So he may end up missing this game. He has not practiced. So kind of expect that I did see that he was in a jersey. He just wasn't practicing. So maybe he gets back to practice Friday and is able to get in the game. How much of an effect is he going to be in the offense as I sit here and look? He's fourth on the depth chart. It's DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, and Roman Wilson. Shout out Michigan grad Roman Wilson. And then Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek. Ben Skoranek also on the injury report. Limited participant Wednesday, full participant on Thursday. So he's going to be good. He's essentially the returner. Will Howard, backup quarterback. He is back at practice. Still recovering from his right hand injury. He's been on the IR all year. I know that because he is on my dynasty team, on my taxi squad, just sitting and waiting essentially for next year. And so that one doesn't really matter for us. Deshaun Elliott, we already knew, going to be out. Corey Trice Jr., who is on the IR, got back as a full participant in practice, coming off of a hamstring injury on Wednesday. But then on Thursday was a limited participant. I saw that was a knee injury that popped up. And that's a depth piece at corner for them anyways. But seems like he may end up not practicing Friday and may end up not playing. Assuming they opened his window, from what I've seen, he was still on IR. At least that's the way it is on their ESPN depth chart. Still says IR next to his name, but limited participant with a new injury popping up for him. Malik Harrison, linebacker, full participant both days. Zach Frazier with a calf injury. Did not practice on Wednesday and then was limited on Thursday. So seems like his activity level is going up. He could be good to go. I'm just going to operate under the assumption that he's going to end up practicing fully on Friday or even limited on Friday and probably be good to go. If he's practicing at all, I feel like that's probably a good sign. So I'm going to assume that Zach Frazier, their center's good. Isaac Suomalo, a different story. Really good guard. Pectoral injury. Did not practice Wednesday, did not practice Thursday, has not been in a jersey. Feel like this is one where he's probably not going to play. Pectoral injury for a guy in the trenches. That's one that you might not want to risk, especially when it's one of your best players, especially on the offensive line, one of your best guys on the offensive line, a guy that's a bit of a mauler. Was with the Eagles there for a little while. Steelers needed to ramp up their offensive line. They get Isaac Suamalo. He's been good, and really, for the ups and downs of the Steelers' offensive line, he's had his own ups and downs with the Steelers, but again, pretty damn good football player. And he has not practiced this week. Could end up missing. I'm going to be under the assumption Zach Frazier playing, Isaac Suamalo not playing. Jonnu Smith had a rest day. He's back at practice. Pat Freiermuth, quadricep injury. It looked pretty bad in the Sunday night football game. Didn't practice on Wednesday, but was full participant on Thursday. So it seems like Pat Freiermuth is going to be good to go. Defensive tackle, Daniel Equale, however you say that. Daniel E. With a knee injury, did not practice either day. That is also a depth piece for them. DK gets a rest day. Cameron Hayward gets a rest day. Darius Slay had a personal day, which is very interesting. Wonder what's going on there. Could be as simple as, kid being sick or whatever. Cole Holcomb, linebacker illness. Cole Holcomb is one of the starting linebackers for the Packers, and he had an illness that popped up. He was good on Wednesday, but pops up on Thursday, so we'll see if he's good by Sunday. Just going to assume he will be. Who else we got here? We have a couple of safeties. Kyle Duggar. With a knee injury, full participant. Didn't know he was dealing with any kind of injury. He was a full participant on Thursday. And Jabril Peppers, who was good on Wednesday, and then apparently a quadricep injury pops up, and he pops up as a limited participant on Thursday. So that's going to be one to monitor. That one's going to be interesting to pay attention to. Because looking at this, so I guess Jabril Peppers is down on the depth chart a little bit. Anyways, Kyle Duggar comes in as starting strong safety. Deshaun Elliott, his backup is Juan Thornhill, who's made plenty of plays in the NFL. Chuck Clark is above Jabril Peppers anyways. So Jabril Peppers seemingly just a special teams guy, I guess. But nonetheless, a lot of these guys are going to be good. Really, the only big name it looks like they might be without is going to be Isaac Suamalo. It looks like everybody else probably going to be good to go. Again, Deshaun Elliott's not going to be there, but they have Juan Thornhill. Like in terms of safeties, they have plenty. Now, I guess in terms of everybody on the defense, they have I believe, second highest. I think a lot of people think it's the highest payroll on the defense. I believe I heard it was the second highest paid defense in the NFL. With all the names they have, and the defense hasn't been great for the Steelers this year, which is unfortunate. I was always a Patrick Queen guy. Patrick Queen seems to have taken quite the step back, unfortunately, which I guess would be good for us coming into this game, but somebody that's always been a bit of a fan of his, not incredible. But as we move on to the Colts side of things, kind of what we talked about yesterday. A lot of guys that did not practice are going to end up practicing and will be fine. Grover Stewart's an interesting one with a foot injury. He usually gets Thursdays off anyways. He didn't practice Wednesday. I don't think he has to practice to play, to be honest with you. But Friday will be interesting. So I will continue to update you guys on the injury report and kind of what we're looking at. Again, it'll be early Saturday when I'm able to get you the Friday injury report and what we're really looking at. And but I will get that information to you as soon as I possibly can. And just got to go, work around my work schedule. But we do have Nick Cross, Josh Downs, both back at practice, full participant. Mac and Savez. Shout out, kind of what we were talking about, family environment with a football team. Being in the locker room is a family environment. Could be something he just wants to be around the boys, wants to get back to work, right? I assume at some point he's going to step away from the team and go handle what he needs to handle, funeral and those sorts of things. Will that, if I had to guess, maybe this weekend on like Saturday, he might go handle that and then meet the team in Pittsburgh. But we'll see what happens there. I don't want to assume anything on his situation. But shout out to him, man. Gutting it out, toughing it out. The mental battle I'm sure he's going through. But he was a full participant at practice on Thursday. Jalen Jones, full participant once again. Tyquan Lewis, full participant. He's back at practice. Anthony Gould and Samson Ebicom did not practice once again. And so I'm going to assume those guys probably going to miss the game. If I had to assume, Amir Abdullah would then step in as a returner. And Laquan Treadwell would probably step up as the sixth receiver and special teams guy, if I had to guess. Then we have Kenny Moore, Braden Smith, both back at practice. Braden Smith was just a rest day. And, of course, Kenny Moore essentially a rest day. Just maintenance essentially on Wednesday, not practicing, but full participant on Thursday. So, looking pretty good. So, as we go through this, for the Colts, just going to assume Ebicom and Gould are out. Gould, I'm going to assume Stewart's going to be there, and everybody else was already back at practice. So, we're all good. Relatively healthy and getting healthier, getting Jalen Jones, I would assume we are going to get Jalen Jones officially off the IR on Saturday, and would assume that he's going to end up playing, and that's probably going to be the decision there, which is going to be a huge help, right? You think about who we're going up against. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers can still sling the pill. He can. He's been playing well. The Steelers' offense, hasn't been perfect, but they have guys on that side. And they can move the ball for sure. They can score some points. Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson's even made a few plays here and there. Jonnu Smith, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward, like all four of their tight ends they'll use in the offense in different ways. Darnell Washington is a big body guy in the run game at tight end. Pat Freiermuth is a dog at tight end. Despite him being a Steeler, I am a fan. He's a dog. And then Jonnu Smith, who's made plays against the Colts on multiple teams. Then you continue to look forward. Connor Hayward, a tight end, but also operates as their fullback. Broderick Jones, really good left tackle. Young guy, has had his ups and downs, as a lot of young tackles do, but he's pretty good. Their other tackle, Troy Fontenot, another young guy, has his ups and downs, but pretty good. Their offensive line has definitely gotten better over the last couple of years with the additions that they made. But again, seems like Isaac Suomalo could be out, Zach Frazier in, and then Mason McCormick is whatever. So this is one where, like, internally, the internal part of the defensive line, right? So we're talking Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, of course, but also Neville Gallimore and Tommy Ade, right? These are guys that are going to have a big effect and generally do week to week. I feel like the inside rush that we get, even from the backup guys, is generally pretty good. And so I feel like we're going to be able to win from that regard. The edge has been a problem for us, and we're going up against some decent tackles. So it'll be interesting to see that matchup and how that works, where the blitz is going to be coming from, and how are we going to stress the offense with what they have, right? Darnell Washington is essentially a sixth offensive lineman that they can have out there. Andrus Peat is a backup tackle that they can have. If they want to have six offensive linemen and a tight end, like a heavy package, they can do that. And then have six offensive linemen and two of their tight ends, right? In a super heavy package. Like they can do that, right? Not to say that they have a lot or have had a lot of success doing it, but they have some big body guys. So that matchup is going to be interesting. But, I mean, a lot of what this comes down to is the Colts. You think about how the Colts have played this year. The Colts in a lot of their matchups have dictated the pace of the game based on their offense, like historically great offense for what we have. That's not a biased take at all. That is just what it is in terms of points per drive. I actually have something on my phone that I'll pull up. Like the points per drive, I believe, is right now the best in NFL history, or like the second best in NFL history. The way we're able to score is absolutely ridiculous. So points scored through 8 games. Points scored, first in the NFL. Points allowed for everything, all the flaws in the defense. Points allowed, second in the NFL. Not too shabby, right? I saw the number. I didn't expect it. I thought it was a lie. I double-checked it. Second in the NFL in points allowed. Point differential, obviously first in the NFL because plus 116 through 8 weeks is just utterly ridiculous. Average time of possession, 31. Points per minute of possession. Points per minute of possession. 1.09, the best in NFL history. Points per minute of possession. Not points per drive. Not points per possession. Points per minute of possession. So when you think efficiency, right, having the ball, and for the time you have the ball, being able to get down the field, put up points, points per minute of possession, 1.09, best in NFL history. That's ridiculous. Opponents, points per minute of possession, 0.66, 0.66, best defensive mark ever recorded. Once again, for the defense that has its flaws, we're dominating. Now, you see these numbers and you're like, okay, well, we've played the Titans twice. We've played the Raiders. We played the Dolphins. Like, those are valid arguments. And I'm not gonna argue with you there. Like, yes, we have played bad teams. But great teams, like good teams, will win against bad teams, but will play down to their competition. In years past, this Colts team would play down to their competition. What these numbers tell me is the Colts are not playing down to their competition, right? Even in the worst half the Colts have had this year against the Titans in that first half, 17 points, right? Not a clean first half, 17 points. It's again, the Colts dictate the pace of the game because the offense scores and the defense, while not perfect, they'll bend a little bit. We've given up points in different games, but for the most part, this defense, when they need to, will buckle down. They'll make the plays, and we're getting Jalen Jones back, which I think is going to be a huge boost to the secondary that's been giving up a bunch of receiving yards to receivers. Right? Scoring efficiency. 70 to 75% of drives ends in points. Points allowed per game, 19.3, which again, second in the NFL. 2007 Patriots. Right? When we go back and look at that, points per minute of possession, with the Colts being at 1.09. 2007 Patriots with Randy Moss, 1.03. Their opponents' points per minute of possession, 0.70, right? A team that went undefeated and lost in the Super Bowl. 2013 Broncos, dominant on both sides of the ball, 1.07 for their offense in terms of points per minute of possession. Their defense, 0.75. Colts, best marks in NFL history in both of those regards. Colts are outproducing opponents by 65% per minute of possession, the largest gap ever recorded, combining the offensive dominance of the 2013 Broncos with the defensive control of the 2000 Ravens. Now, lumping our defense in with the 2000 Ravens is crazy. I have always liked the Ravens, to be honest with you. I grew up as a linebacker. I was a huge Ray Lewis fan. I loved watching the Ravens. Right, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, all the guys that they had throughout that defense. I mean, bunch of dogs. To lump our defense in with the 2000s Ravens, or really any defense over the years with the 2000s, is a pretty bold statement. So I don't know if I'd go that far. But the numbers I just presented are absolutely ridiculous. Now, let me present you some other numbers. Week 4. Okay, this is the Steelers in their recent struggle versus quarterbacks. Jonathan Taylor has been the talk of the town this week. You know the Steelers are going to do everything they can to try to stop Jonathan Taylor, but what do the Colts do? In the first half, we pass the ball. No matter what, even when Jeffrey Simmons isn't playing for the Titans, we pass the ball in the first half. Week 4, Carson Wentz, 30 for 46, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions against the Steelers. Then the Steelers have a bye week. This is the last 4 opponents for the Steelers. Then they have a bye week, week 5. Against the Browns, Dylan Gabriel, his best game of his career so far in terms of pass yards, 29 for 52, 221. Joe Flacco on Thursday Night Football. A lot of people watch that game. A lot of people know. Joe Flacco went off, 31 for 47, 342, and 3 touchdowns. Bengals win. Week 8, this past week, Jordan Love went off, 29 for 37, 360, and 3 touchdowns. So take out Dylan Gabriel, and you have Carson Wentz, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Joe Flacco, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love, 360 yards, 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones, over the last couple games, he's been good all year. He's starting to have his best games. As we continue to go into the season, he's starting, like, in terms of touchdowns, that he's starting to put up, the yardage that he's starting to put up, as I ramble on, as I go to pull this up. So we have, literally his 2 best games are the last 2 games. Against the Chargers, 288, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Against Tennessee, he only threw the ball 29 times, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. Right? The numbers that he's putting up, he has 2 or more touchdowns in the last 4 games. Right? And he's been over 200 yards in every game. Actually, as I look at it, again, against the Broncos, he had 316 and a touchdown. I didn't even realize that. So his biggest game was against the Broncos. Against the Dolphins, he also threw the ball 29 times and had 272 yards. So he's had some big games. But he's been lighting it up the last couple weeks. And so this is going to be an opportunity where if you want to sell out to stop Jonathan Taylor, good luck. The RPO game, I thought Dana Orlovsky did a good job on ESPN of talking about the Colts RPO game and how there are different options. Pittman is usually the option to go to. The defense will leave them open on an RPO when they're worried about Jonathan Taylor getting the ball. And then, linebacker slides, Pittman's open. Pittman's not open and they're taking Jonathan Taylor away. There's another option to the outside. All right, there are 3 or 4 options on an RPO play in the Shane Steichen offense. Shout out to Dan Orlovsky for going over that, pointing that out. The RPO game that the Colts are running is incredibly deadly and gives Daniel Jones a lot of options. So good luck stopping Jonathan Taylor. Good luck stopping this offense that's been incredibly high-powered against a defense that has not been great. So at the end of the day, again, going back to the beginning of the video, I don't care about the history. Right, in the history before the last 2 matchups with the Colts, right, it was 27-6 Steelers all time in 33 matchups. We've won the last 2. Shane Steichen in the last 3 years, between 1 year with the Eagles, 2 years with the Colts, he is now playing the Steelers for the 4th straight year as a play caller. He's beaten them 3 times in a row. I expect it to be a 4th time in a row, and maybe there's a little bit of home field advantage. Maybe this is going to be a little bit closer. Again, I think the Steelers at some point will put up some points, and they'll be able to get some points on the board. They have playmakers. They have Aaron Rodgers. I don't think we're going to shut them out, and this is going to be like playing the Tennessee Titans. It's not that. But I do expect us, with Jalen Jones coming back, my expectation being Jalen Jones coming back, I think that is a big boost for the defense. I think his experience is going to be big for the defense. I think inserting him into whatever role is going to be big. And so at the end of the day, I'm obviously going to take the Colts to win. I'm not going to say there's not much question because, this is one of those games where it feels like, Steelers typically don't just fall apart. I guess last year they kind of did, but they're always around 500 at least. So it feels like there's a chance they could come out, surprise a lot of people, and win this game. It's in Pittsburgh. Of course, I think there's a possibility of that, but that's because of the history of the Colts in Pittsburgh. If you take out the history and you just look at this year, you look at this Colts team, everything that I've pointed, all the numbers that I've pointed out, I did that wasn't even all of it. We're just getting it's 25 minutes deep, bro, so I was about to try to wrap it up. You want to hear some other numbers for what this Colts offense is going to be able to do? This is Steelers DB passer ratings allowed entering Week 9. Juan Thornhill, 146.2. Jabril Peppers, 137.1. Darius Slay, 135.2. Chuck Clark, 132.5. Jalen Ramsey, 99.7. Deshaun Elliott, who's not playing, 97.7. Joey Porter Jr., who's actually been good, 75. Right, James Pierre, 42.4. So they have a couple good ones. And as I sit here and look, where's James Pierre? James Pierre, backup cornerback. He's actually the backup to Joey Porter, which is kind of crazy. Joey Porter's pretty good. And that is going to be, I don't think they carry, so that it'll probably be a lot of Alec Pierce over on that side, which is going to be fun, honestly. That's going to be a fun matchup, Alec Pierce against Joey Porter. But I think Joey Porter, Alec Pierce can get the better of Joey Porter. Jalen Ramsey plays in the slot. And so if you have Josh Downs, probably a good week to start Josh Downs. Jalen Ramsey isn't keeping up with Josh Downs. He's not. He's not stopping Tyler Warren either, by the way. Which is, I feel like something they might try to do in this game is put him on Tyler Warren a bit. Good luck with that. Because he's definitely not staying with Josh Downs. And he's still physical, but I don't think he's keeping up or being as physical as Tyler Warren either. So, great player. He's been a great player in his career, but this year he's just not what he used to be. Very clear he's not what he used to be. So, I think the Colts offense is going to continue to take advantage of this Steelers defense just like other teams have. I really would not at all. We've put up 38 in 2 straight weeks. And when you look at it, the last 4 weeks, 40, 31, 38, 38. And Jonathan Taylor, of course, is playing out of his mind. Even when a play is supposed to go one way and it gets blown up, he finds a way to push it another way, and it works anyways. I feel too confident. And it's weird. And I feel like that's the PTSD. But this Colts team is different. The facts are the facts. This team does not play down to their opponents. This team is putting belt to ass to people every single week, and I think there's a chance we do it again. I'm going to take the Colts to win this game. I'm going to go with how far do I want? I'm going to go 37, 4 touchdowns, 3 field goals. I'm going to go 37 to 37 to 23. I'm going to go 37-23. Maybe there's a touchdown at the end that makes it 37-30. But I'm going to go 37-23. Colts win this one handily. And continue to show their dominance and continue to show that they're the best team in the NFL, even though people want to all over the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. The Colts are the best team in the NFL, and I can't wait for Week 12. For real. Mooney Ward come back. Ooh, I can't wait for Week 12. That's winning an Arrowhead is going to feel so good, bro. Shove it right up all sports people's asses, bro. Just, yeah, you want to talk about Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs? Oh, my God, they're beating bad teams. We'll get there. Chiefs is a couple weeks away. We got to beat the Steelers, and I think we do that this week. And, of course, I want to know what you guys think. Okay? How do you guys think this is going to go? How do you think the Colts will do against the Steelers in Pittsburgh? You let me know your thoughts on this game. How's it going to go? What's the score going to be? Let it be known down in the comments section. Want to hear you guys voice your opinions. And, of course, if you enjoy the content, hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we drop any content on this channel. Of course, appreciate you stopping by for another video. And, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.